Meanwhile, here is Donald Trump. And did we do this clip? Did we do clip number one? We didn't. No, I thought we had, but we have, in fact, not. Here's Donald Trump at the Warp Speed conference bragging about how he underbought the vaccines and we're going to end up being delayed in getting all vaccinated. Oh, that's not what it is. He's talking about how he won the election and how Republicans need to stand up for that.
I received almost 75 million votes, the highest number of votes in the history of our country for a sitting president, 12 million more than the 63 million we received 4 years ago. President Obama received 3 million less in his second term, and he won easily. I received 12 million more, which, by the way, is a record, 12 million more. And they say that when the numbers came out, and the numbers came through machines, and all of those ballots were taken away and added. All you have to do is turn on your local television set, and you'll see what happened with thousands of ballots coming out from under tables, with all of the terrible things you saw. All you have to do is take a look, and if somebody has the courage, I know who the next administration will be. And I'll tell you what, life will be much easier for this country because of what we've done right now. And because of a lot of the people in this room, the job you've done on the vaccine, together with a lot of others, has been a modern-day miracle. And it's really been acknowledged as such. And I want to thank you. I want to give you my love. And I want to give you my thanks because you're very special people. And now, good luck. You distribute that, General, and really set records, okay? Set records just like we've been doing for 4 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Just want to say I should still be president. It's a mystery that there could be more votes for the other guy than me.
I know. Well, all you have to do is turn on your television set, and then that explains. Like, they keep using these circumstantial things, and they're so weak, even to Trump supporters, right? Like, Biden just sat in his basement the whole time. Yes, how could he have won millions more votes than me, right? Okay. He still could have done that. That's just how much people hate you. And he can't comprehend that. Like, that's part of his pathology. He doesn't understand that there are millions of people who voted for the guy that sat in his basement and didn't do anything because they hate you that much.
I think he gets that. He's just in angry denial about it because it doesn't compute for a narcissist when they get that kind of information.
But like, then does he actually grasp it? Like, I don't know where the line is. So with the Bob Woodward stuff, where he was clearly knowingly lying about coronavirus and how deadly it was, he was saying behind the scenes that, you know, it was more deadly than the flu, but then going on the podium and saying it's not more deadly than the flu. Is that how he is for everything? Is he behind the scenes recognizing reality? Or is it when things involve him and his own ego and his, say, winning and electoral chances that they're quantifiable? Is it like a pathology where he cannot grasp or understand reality, or his mind doesn't allow him to?
I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think it's a combination of like, look, I may have lost, but it seems really weird. And all I know is I have to fight. And that's it. And I don't think he has, I get the sense that the introspection sort of ends there.
Well, I mean, there's a lot you can do when you don't have shame. I mean, there's no limit to.
Hi, this is Jack Smith. What was that guy's name? What was his fake?
John
Miller.
Real last name.
This is John Miller. The hot girls really like Donald Trump. I wouldn't want you to write that, but if you want to write that, that's fine. I mean, yes, he could do anything.
He's holding multiple truths in his head at once. All right. He's basically a Zan Cohen. He's doing dialectics.
There you go. Actually, we just got an IM run PMC. Jamie, could you give a basic explanation of dialectics? I can't seem to understand the concept for some reason.
Well, I'm not going to try to do it right now, right here on Majority Report, but the first ever episode of History is a Weapon that we put out with the Antifada is all about historical materialism. And it goes over the role of dialectics in that. But basically, It's when you study history and you're Marxist, you look at the material base, which creates all culture and all human consciousness. And that's what drives history, not the ideas in people's heads. And where dialectics come in, it's a little confusing. Basically, you got you got a tendency, you got a counter tendency, and sometimes they synthesize into a synthesis, and that's dialectics. I don't know if that was clear or not, but we got a whole episode on it that you can listen to.
Yeah, just keep plugging. You can see the antifada, and then you'll know the full answer.
Like it is legitimately. There's a bit to it, I would say.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's kind of like a philosophy course. It's not immediately explainable concept.
I mean, isn't it in its most generic form? It is really just sort of like determining something through maybe opposing or maybe somewhat nuanced opposing perspectives or realities.
Not quite, I would say, because the perspective is like the human consciousness element, and the dialectic, the tendencies that we look at tend to be like currents, things that occur in the world. But again, it's the Hegel part of Marx. I haven't read Hegel, but I've read a bit of Marx, and all I know is that it is complicated and annoying and weird, but Marx without Hegelian dialectics is very bad and not useful. So we got to deal with it, unfortunately.
So meanwhile, we are hoping that our government is fighting the COVID pandemic. We have the numbers look really bad. They're going to get worse. On December 8th, we had 2,600 people. About 2,600 people die. This is from the New York Times. We had 104,000 hospitalized. That is data from the COVID tracking project. And we had, on December 8th, 220,000 new infections. This is how you calculate back of envelope as to where we're going to be in terms of deaths. You take that figure, 220,000, you multiply it by 1.4 to about 1.6 or 1.8. Those are sort of like, the ABC scenarios that you could possibly have. You look out 16 to 21 days, and that's how you will predict how many people will die 16 to 21 days from now. On that day, we will be above, and that is just about Christmas, we will be above 3,000 people dying a day in this country. That number at one point could pop higher because hospitals may not have capacity. Remember, we were all talking about flattening the curve back in New York, back in April? I guess that wasn't necessarily a national thing, but it was, the idea was you cannot have a spike of hospitalizations because the capacity for our medical system is limited, and it has very little room to address something like this. So we could very well see those breaches in different places around the country. And there's no reason to believe that number, 220,000, is going to be less on today. Maybe the number's already come out, or tomorrow, or going forward. We're just now seeing the wave of people who contracted it during Thanksgiving.